Hello everybody, this is Dr. Tangella Colston. I want to welcome you to my channel. I'll be giving a lot of advice on how to be successful in your business and personal life, as well as sharing some of the gems on how you can be successful in your entrepreneurial journey. Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Tangella Colston. As always, the T with Dr. T. And today I'm going to pretty much tell a little more about my personal journey, about my history, how did I become an entrepreneur, what are some hardships that I endured in becoming an entrepreneur, and pretty much the music behind the brand. Who am I outside of what you see today and the things that helped shape me get there. So today I have a special guest. So tell everybody who you are, where to find you.
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here with Miss Tangella. My name is Cheek. You can find me on Instagram at Cheek_800.
So typically today he's going to be pretty much making a transparent interview today with me. So that he's going to be the person that pretty much asks questions that people want to know. So kind of the music behind who I am and all of the things that I'm a part of. So pretty much my early stages of entrepreneurship and what helped me get there.
Okay. What I'm very interested in really wanting to know is, how did you start your business? I see that you be on Instagram a lot and you have a lot of different type of advertisements, and I want to know how did you decide to do that?
So I believe that a lot of people may not know that I am an ordained minister, and pretty much that's where Secret Boss Chick Society came from. The issue with me becoming an ordained minister is that I've always loved God. It's always been a foundation of my life. Like everything I've ever been through, that's always been a starting point for me. But what becoming a minister was scary because I didn't want to be placed in a box. Like, I didn't want people to say, like, you can't go certain places, you can't do certain things. So that was my fear. So I went to ministry school, and once I went to ministry school, I had prayed and asked God to give me a ministry. I know that I have a very successful business with children, and that was my passion. But I really wanted God to really use me in a particular arena. So me and my friends were having wine one day, and I'm always encouraging and motivating people to start businesses, and they were joking like, hey, we should start a group. And so we were all inspiring to be successful bosses. And so at that moment, Secret Boss Chick Society was born. And so when it first launched off, I really didn't know what it was or what it would become. I just knew that I wanted to make a difference in other people. So the early phases was just wanting to encourage people to start businesses.
Wow, that's very interesting. And you say you did all this off of drinking wine. What type of wine do you drink?
Well,
I just wanted to know.
Well, honestly, right now I don't drink anymore. Wow. And not drinking really was a personal decision. Even though I didn't want to be placed in a box, I understood that the higher I went in God, the higher His expectation was of me. Not the expectation of people, because no matter what you do or where you go, it's going to be some type of expectation of what people think you can and can't do. I actually used to drink sweet wines. I was never really a big drinker, but I really enjoyed socially drinking with my friends. We would have like a lot of girls' nights, and we would cry together, we would laugh together, and we would just like share life together. And so once I became an ordained minister, God really elevated me to a place where I really, really wanted Him to elevate my business. And I said, okay, God, if you could do this for me, that I would give up drinking. I would give up drinking. Wow. Because it was something I enjoyed. And so if you can make this sacrifice for me, then I'll make this sacrifice for you. So He actually expanded my business for the third time in 3 years, and I gave up drinking completely, and I haven't had a drink in 2 years. So.
Well, that's an excellent thing. So how do the transition with your friends and everything coincide with everything with your business and everything, like far as like being that you on a sober mind? and everything is no distractions but really about your business. So how do you continue to move forward to actually place everybody else in the same category as you as well?
I think the hardest thing with elevation and growth is that I've never grown, I've never lost anybody. I have always grown out of people, and I think the perception of like growing out of people is bad is really great, because at the end of the day, I want to be around people that motivate and encourage me to be great. So if I'm growing and if I want better, and if my friends or people I'm surrounded with doesn't line up with making me a better me, it's okay to still have those conversations and have those people. But at the end of the day, you're going to grow out of people if they're not willing to go to the next level. So I think it's been one of the hardest things with growing out of people. Like, it's been a painful thing because it's people that you've known for a really long time. And it's people often say you've changed. And I have changed. I prefer to not stay the same.
Okay.
As God uses you and as you grow, you're going to change. With growth comes a lot of expectations of becoming a better you. So friendships, all of my friends must level up. And I feel like we all create the bar for each other. So I don't want to be the biggest bar in my friendships. I want my friends to hold me accountable, and I want us all to be fighting over the check at the end of the day. Okay. Like, I got the bill. No, I got the bill. Like, I want us all to be bosses. Like, I don't want to be the biggest boss in my group. I want everything I'm attached to and everybody around me to elevate in some way. And, I just want God to use me in that way to encourage and elevate other people.
Wow. That was deep. But I noticed that you said in that conversation that you changed. What you feel you changed? What's the difference from your old you to you now? Like, people looking at you right now, and you have the off-white on. You very. I'm checking your swag out, definitely. They looking at everything, and they want to know, like, what transpired you now. Like, how were you back then? What was the situation with that?
Okay, it's so many layers to that. So talking about change and elevation, I think a lot of things shape into who you are and who you become. So, I grew up in Highland Park. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in HP. And with that, we struggled a lot growing up. And it wasn't because, my mom wasn't a great mom, because she was a fabulous mom. It's just, the hardships of being a single parent. And, over time, hardships develop character. So growing up, I noticed looking around at different people that I was surrounded with was that I always wanted to be greater. I always wanted to elevate higher. I wanted to do everything that people said I couldn't do. So if everybody I knew worked, I wanted to be the boss. If everybody, didn't drive or didn't have a car, I wanted my own car. Like, I always wanted to kind of be something different. And I feel like, not having a lot of things helped me to be able to understand two perspectives. And one is to understand lack, but also to understand abundance, which is a whole nother conversation. But growing up is one thing, but being one of the first people in my family to go to college, and which I have a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate degree. Those experiences in college, working 3 jobs, being pregnant, putting myself through school, all of those things shape me into creating work ethics. Like, I feel like every boss have to be a worker at some point, because there's things that you don't just wake up and say, what, now I'm a boss. Like, you can be a boss, but how can you be an effective boss where you're constantly elevating? So to answer your question, I feel like I am a completely different person than I was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, or even last year. I feel like every couple years you should be evolving. You have to meet a newer version of yourself.
Okay, I can understand that. So you say nothing is never the same. That's basically what you're saying.
Not necessarily. I'm saying that nothing should stay the same.
Nothing should stay the same.
I want to be a better version of me next year than I am this year.
Okay.
So for me, I'm a goal-driven person. I'm always raising a bar. So for me, goals is everything to me. I feel like, a goal without a plan is just a wish. My whole life, I have made goals for myself, and I feel like that's what's important in order to grow. My husband may not know it, but he was my husband before he was my husband. Like,
Oh, speaking of your husband, how long you been married?
so we've been married for 10 years.
Oh, you get yourself a clap.
Yeah, we got to give him a clap, you know.
Okay.
We've been married for 10 years, but we've been together for 14 years, you know.
14.
So we've seen each other grow and evolve and develop. 14 years ago, I'm not the same person that I was 14 years ago, you know, and neither is he. So being married and really evolving, you have to be able to grow together. So it's been a journey of just growth just inside of our marriage.
That's a very long marriage, 14 years. So y'all had to be very young when y'all got married.
Yeah.
So if y'all was very young while y'all was married, and it's been 14 years, so how was the growing process as far as like you and him growing together, and being that you have all these phenomenal businesses and type of structure, how was that, you know, to elevate your marriage as well?
I feel like, you know, marriage is hard. Having a business is hard. But at the end of the day, I feel like my husband said something to me that really resonated with me. And it was that you can't be great at everything. Like, that is a really strong quote, because at the end of the day, I'm a goal-driven person, but I'm also a perfectionist. And it's like, what do you mean I can't be a great wife, a great mom, a great business owner? Like, how are you going to tell me I can't be great at everything? But the reality is, it's the truth. If I'm working, you know, getting home at 9, 10 o'clock, there's going to be some times where I may not be able to, you know, cook dinner, spend time with the kids. Or there's going to be some times where, you know, I may not get to go on many date nights, or, you know, so I think just the balance, like, we've been able to understand and support each other through growth. So there's been some seasons where if I'm at school, he's holding it down, taking care of the kids and still working and being a provider and encouraging and supporting me. And then we experience those seasons where the season has changed, where I need to support, encourage, and motivate him to reach his next level of potential. The greatest thing is that you both must grow. I think growth is the necessary underlying. He has to be growing, and I have to be growing, and we have to understand each other's growth. I think that has helped us stay together for a long time, and he brings a very different perspective to me as a person. He's everything that I'm not, and he encouraged me to be everything that I am.
Wow. He's like a very, very, very important person in your life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think just a snippet, like, I think I knew that he was the very special person when I was struggling college student, and I didn't have money for college, and I thought I was going to have to drop out of school. And we were dating at the time, and I remember calling him like, you know what, I'm just probably going to have to take a semester off. And he was like, no, you're going to go to school. How much money do you need? Like, at this time, he's just working a regular job. But the fact that he was willing to invest everything in me and give everything he had, even if it meant taking everything, was a very important milestone where I knew, like, that this guy is my husband. Like, he is the one.
Wow. I noticed that as we was talking, and you always say that you give a lot to being a single parent, or at that time, or a single type of person that have to do all these triumphs in your life, as far as going to school on your own and having to pay your way on your own. I noticed that you really never said nothing too much about your father. You know, I know you give a lot of big credit to a lot of different situations, as far as with your mom or your husband, but I noticed that on Instagram you always talk about planting the seed. Do you think that not having your father in your life inspired you to plant the seed or grind harder? Was he a part of that, even though he probably was not present?
Oof.
I know that's kind of deep. You know, a lot of women don't talk about their father like that, but I noticed in this conversation you did not mention him whatsoever. So I want to know what type of important role and what part did he inspire to you to keep going in life in some type of way, regardless if he was not there or not.
Okay. I think for me, I'm just grab tissue now.
Okay.
I think for me, my father have always been a very sensitive subject in my life, because what a lot of people don't know and what I don't talk about is, me being conceived. My father was married at the time, and you know, that's a whole situation in itself. And so, as a child, I just remember seeing my father and him being in parts of my life, but I just don't remember it being consistent. And I do feel like those moments when my mom did have to be a single parent, or when my mom did have to figure things out alone during certain seasons, it was very painful. But I do feel like it shaped me to want want to first and foremost be married, have a husband, have that support, and to also feel like in life, nothing was ever given to me. I've always worked hard for everything I have. I've never expected anything from anyone. And so I do remember being older, my dad being more supportive and more present. And we've had those times where we had to come together and have those very difficult conversations. And so as an adult, I feel like my dad is very, very supportive in my journey and my success. But coming up, I do feel like there was a disconnect. And I do feel like that disconnect was important. And most importantly, I feel like it was God's way in filling in that he was my father in times where I may have felt fatherless, even though, my father was present or was dealing with his own hardships with life. It allowed God to step in and to say, no matter the trial, no matter the situation, no matter the hardship, I am here and I'm never leaving, and I will provide every need, and, you will suffer no lack. And so that have birthed my relationship of faith, because I look at things as a twofold. Not having my father 1,000% of the time was hard, but at the same time it was my greatest blessing. It was my greatest blessing because it encouraged me to go harder. It encouraged me to want more, to have a husband, to have a two-parent household, to fight harder for the things that I may not have had growing up, and to also, really press for things that may have seemed out of reach. So it really birthed and developed my relationship deeper with God. So
Wow, that's very deep. I noticed that as this conversation was going more, you really you praise God a lot.
yeah.
And, for the audience that don't know God on a personal level, what can you say about that? Because I see that your success is really mainly around praising God, and a lot of things that you have did in your life, you really thank God a lot for that. What made you go on that path to understand why he's so important in your life, and why he's so important that overshadowed everything in your life to make it great now?
I feel like at the end of the day, and it may seem cliche, but God is the only person who has never disappointed me.
Okay.
And so it makes me a little emotional thinking about that, because sometimes you have, parents that disappoint you. You have spouses that may disappoint you in some areas of growth. And you may feel disappointed, but I feel like, in my growth journey, God has never disappointed. God has never disappointed me. And so everything I've ever wanted, God has always made it possible. So because I've been obedient, I remember 11 years old, going to church on my own. I remember catching a cab to church, 11, 12 years old, using my own money just to get to church, just to get home, and nobody really being there to force me to go to church, or nobody picking me up for church, but just wanting that hunger and desire for God. And so because of my sacrifice and obedience very early, everything I've ever desired or wanted, God has fulfilled. I mean, when people look at my success, it's none of me and all of him. Any degrees, my husband, my family, my success, any experiences that have been positive, is all God. And it's just because I've decided to step out authentically in my purpose. And my purpose is to tell people about God, that He is real, that He'll never leave or forsake you, no matter the season, no matter the reason. And that's my purpose. And because I've decided to fulfill my purpose, I will spend the entire rest of my life giving God the praise, the glory, the honor, sharing my story, and allowing people to know that He's authentically real.
How do you deal with the everyday basis of your life, trying to encourage other people to do what you need to do, being that you see through God, and they might not see that calling at that time, or they might not see that it's working for them? So what do you tell your audience that's looking right now, or the people who's trying to get where you're at? What do they supposed to believe in? How?
Oh, okay. So that's a big question. I think the first one is balance. What I've learned with starting Secret Boss Chick Society, which we're going into our third year, is that everybody needs a supportive team. And in the beginning, I used to think I could do everything on my own. I can be everywhere. I can put on the production. I can be the speaker. I can be the preacher. And actually, I've done that before. I was the preacher, the dancer. Like, when I did my first sermon, I was everybody. And so my husband was like, you for real was everybody. Like, this can't be real. But I think it took me to understand with Birth and Secret Boss Chick Society that you need a team. And so my biggest thing is that my friends, my family, they are my biggest supporters. But at the end of the day, they are my biggest support system. So in order for me to be able to do what I do, you have to have a very supportive team. So I couldn't be, Dr. Tangella Colston with all of these letters behind my name without an amazing husband that picks up the slack when I have different engagements to be out late, or to have a dynamic childcare staff, which I have a staff of 11 people, to take care of these babies and to do all of the things as if I'm present when I'm absent. So the biggest thing is having a supportive team. And as far as planting seeds, I think I'm a visionary. And being a visionary is a very hard job. It's a hard job because you see the full potential in people before they even resonate or see the full potential in themselves. And so I would notice in the beginning, I would get frustrated, with like telling people like, you are great. You got this. We're in this together. And they're like, I don't want to do that right now. Maybe I need to back all the way up and just kind of focus on this one step. And so I think that was the frustrating part of just getting started. But when I understood that I was a visionary and that God allows me to help people through the process of being great, with helping them with goal setting and helping them through the phase of the seed that's been planted, I think that that's one of my greatest gifts, because I'm not only encouraging people, but I'm teaching them how to plant the seed and how to move forward with execution.
Wow. That's very deep. That's very deep. For us to wrap this whole interview up, what is the purpose for the Boss Chicks? And like, I noticed that, is it a sisterhood or it's a sorority? I want to know what it is, because I think that you got a group of empowering women trying to do something, but is a family, or I know you haven't mentioned a lot of sisters or brothers or different things like that. You have mentioned family and husband situations, but you have not mentioned, is family involved in this, or is it anybody that you feel that is very close with you that you feel that you can move forward with? I just want to know what the Boss Chicks are really about, and
okay, so I'm so glad you asked. So if you're not already following us, we do have an Instagram, and our Instagram is Secret Boss Chick Society. And I just have a personal page on Facebook. So follow me on Facebook, Tangella Colston. And what Secret Boss Chick Society is actually all of those things. When we first started out, it's so funny because we people were like joking, like, what is this? Is it a sorority? Is it a sisterhood? Is it a gang? Like, and really, we've become all of that. We are a gang of bosses, period. And it just means a lot to be around some amazing women that ultimately all want to be great, pretty much all love just empowering each other. You do not have to be a business owner, just having an open mindset. which brings to our success rates. Like, we've impacted over 75 women, in the last 3 years upcoming, but I have helped almost now 11 women quit their full-time jobs with starting Secret Boss Chick Society. I have now helped start 25 small businesses with the birth of Secret Boss Chick Society. And we're just a network of women who either are business owners, inspired to be business owners, but ultimately just want to be great and want to be bosses in our business or personal lives.
So you telling me you don't have to be a boss to be in the Boss Chicks, basically?
You do not. Like, that is a misconception of who the boss chicks are. Do you have to be a boss? No, but you are a boss over your life and over your situation. And that's what we do. We empower women to take ownership of their mindset.
So you telling me that the Secret Boss Chicks is a way of life, basically?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Being a boss is a lifestyle. Like, when you a boss, everything you do revolves around being a boss. The way you work, the way your work ethics, like, all of those things are developed.
Because that's a very big word when you're using boss. Because everybody think you both be in the Benzes and you gotta get the Rolexes and stuff.
Okay,
like that.
so on the ending note, money does not make you a boss. First of all,
that's what I'm talking about.
Money just provides more opportunities for you, but it doesn't necessarily make you a boss. A boss is being able to employ other people and change their situations. Because I can have as much money as I want to have and never help anybody. So technically, that doesn't really make you a boss. A boss is when you can employ people and you can allow them to get a new house, a new car, change their lifestyle, to put food and money in somebody else's pocket on somebody else's table.
To make them a boss.
To make them a boss.
Okay.
That's when you become a boss.
So it's like a chain reaction. You
Absolutely.
A boss.
That's what bosses do.
So you a boss.
Bosses
and
empower other
boss.
bosses.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I can say in this whole situation that everybody in the Secret Boss Society is all bosses. Because they making each other bosses as well and other people outside.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's the energy is contagious. Because there's people that started off that never wanted a business, never wanted to be a boss. But then at the end of the day, being around bosses change your mindset. So we've helped 9 people who never wanted a business start a business in the last 2 years.
I can agree with that. I think it is contagious because I'm scratching my hand right now being next to you. So
you about to be a boss?
I'm about to be a boss too. But at the end of the day, I definitely enjoyed the interview with you. And I learned a lot about you. I didn't think you was hood. But I see that you got some hood in you.
That's funny. So speaking of being hood, this is like the beginning phases of my YouTube. So just throwing it out there, what some people don't know about me is that I used to be in the trap houses.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I was broke in college.
Okay.
My husband was first person I dated with a real job. Just being authentic to your journey. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a lot of stuff that people don't know about me. And I'm actually not going to discuss that right now.
I hope we don't have to discuss that right now.
But if you subscribe to my channel
and
hit that little notification bell, I'm telling you, just really, having those difficult conversations and just being authentic to my truth and empowering other people throughout that journey is really what this channel is about. So there's a lot that people don't know about me. I'm not just the cute girl that like to change clothes, that's always going to conferences, that just work all the time. Like, there's layers to this. Like, it's been years of building and empowering the person that I've become. So I'm straight from the hood. Like, street smarts and book smarts. You need both, so.
Definitely. I'm definitely interested to know way more about you on a later note, but we definitely want to be able to meet your husband because I'm quite sure I want to know his perspective as well on the woman behind all this. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
If you guys want to also meet my husband or have some comments or some questions for me, some things that you would like for me to discuss on my channel, or some questions that you may have for my husband, make sure you guys note them in the comment section. And I'm looking forward to a wonderful entrepreneur YouTube journey of being transparent of who Dr. Tangella Colston with all those degrees and businesses is all about. So thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.